Well, one thing we can do is, and I think you guys are using it now, is automated attendant, where someone calls in, they get a menu, and it says, you know, if you reach Lebanon County Courthouse, you know, if you know your party's extension, enter it at any time, or maybe you even give options to go to various departments. There is no speech integration to actually say that. However, if you actually have a long menu like that, I think what we can do is actually refine that, break that up some.
A lot of times people are calling in, they may not even know what their need requires, what department. And I've always been, you know, supporting even a part-time during peak hours for an operator, because access to the right department, and even I've been dropped by the system because I was too slow in navigating.
And started installing the equipment in the rooms and everything, but I don't know that we've had yet a conversation with departments and heads about call flow and what happens if a call comes into their department. You know, but that's, you know, instead of just paving the cow path, this is the time to look and see, okay, how it works today, yeah, but how do we really want it to work?
Ultimate Call Accounting, that company, while I still think they're in business, I think they're, right now only one guy's running it.
But what would happen when we go to this system here? Is that still needed?
Well, there's, to apply a cost to the call, so I don't know if you guys are costing the calls and billing the departments back. If you're just collecting records, there's actually a built-in CDR in the system. If you're just looking to see who called who and when they called, there is a built-in CDR accounting system in this system.
It's in the system as well.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's actually web-based, so we can actually give her access to it, where she can actually access what we call the ShoreTel director, and when she accesses it, that'll be the only item she can access.
So that mess at her desk will go away?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the counties that I had to call recently has an alphabetical listing, where you know, and they've broken it into, you know, A through F or whatever. The difficulty is coming up with the what people might call it themselves versus what it's actually called. So if you're calling for, let's say, a building permit, do you know to pick planning or city or public works, you know? So I don't know if we can break it down where, for example, if you think it's building permit, that's also under B. So planning is under P, but building permit is also under B, and it takes you to the same number. I don't know if that's a possibility or not.
There's something in the short term that we call route points. So with those, we can actually have a unique name built. So you're talking about like the dial by name director, is that what you're referring to?
Well, by department.
By department, okay.
It's mainly, I mean, and what Commissioner Phillips is talking about, where what the human did for the most part was able to discern what the person is seeking and the right place for it. You know, because I mean, a courthouse, if you live right, you shouldn't have to come to the courthouse more than a half a dozen times in your life, you know.
None of which will be pleasant.
So people don't really know entirely what they're coming for or what it's called. But like marriage license goes to register of wills. You know, would you go to R for marriage license? No.
And that is,
Would you go to M?
a lot of things are just once in their lifetime that they need it for, and it's totally, you know, alien.
Yeah, all of those are, you know, hunting licenses in the
Treasures.
treasures and
Dog license,
dog license. And
Right. So I'm suggesting maybe we could have,
Keywords.
you know, hunting, keywords in the alphabet that will still take you to the same place in addition to having the actual department.
Well, just needs.
So that's what I was referring to. So we could have a department, let's say marriage and licensing, but we also can create, if it would be called something else, we can also create that entry just in case they dialed something else, you know, to try to spell something else out, and would still match marriage and licensing. But we'd have to then try to do that for every.
Yeah, it would be an evolution. I mean, you would do your best the first time, but maybe somehow find out that maybe based on the calls that end up here often, or they end up in the wrong place because people just don't know.
Yeah, we can definitely. This is like your smaller phone. A lot of times this may be like in public places, wall mount, lunchroom, break room, and so forth.
Now, you do not purchase any of these. It's an option if we determine that you need some of those for some places, but you didn't purchase any of those. Really, the ones that you purchased are actually the 480, okay, which is that one right there, okay. This one looks exactly the same except it has a color display, so it's called the 485. But they look and function exactly the same. They just have a different display. One's color, one's not.
And then we also have the 655 phone. That phone has the big color display. It's touchscreen. It has an omnidirectional mic at the top, and it has and it also has a very high quality speaker on it.
Boy, we can use that in here.
That's what we were talking about.
We were talking about that earlier, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times that's used for your conference rooms. That's your big executive phone. And like I said, it's touchscreen, and it's also color, and you can also change the graphic that's on it. A lot of companies actually like to put their company logo on it. So it actually dims the save power when it's not in use.
Okay.
You have a conference button. You can actually make multiple conference calls. You have a transfer, a voicemail, a directory. So if you select the directory button, you can actually scroll down. It talks to the server, and you can actually scroll down and actually go through everybody that's on the phone system. And also you can use the, if you know their name, you can just start typing it, and it'll actually it'll try to match that and eventually hone down to that one individual person.
So you can spell out the whole last name?
You can do it by first or last name, correct. And as you spell it, it'll start to try to locate that person. There's also a history key. When you press history, you can see all the people that called you.
Oh, that's nice.
And then of course your hold, your transfer. There's also a voicemail key there. So when you press voicemail, what you actually get is what we call visual voicemail. So if you had any voicemail messages, you can actually use a down arrow and select that particular message. You don't have to actually go through them all. You can select the message you want to hear and actually play it. And of course you can delete it from here. You can forward it to another user and so forth.
Passing the name and the number, you'll be able to see who it is. So when you're scrolling down through that history or scrolling down through your voicemail, you'll be able to see, oh, that's the one that I wanted.
By what we call a 100 IP phone. So one device will support 100 phones, but we have multiple devices. So if this device would fail, all the phones would fail over to the other device. Now once that device reaches its capacity, we're going to have built-in VMware, what we call a virtual switch. So it's actually the same type of appliance, but it's virtually in VMware. And that's going to be what we call a spare appliance. Now that's a licensed product, but it's only licensed when it's in use. It's kind of just sitting there waiting for something to happen. So as soon as something happens, the appliance goes down or the appliance loses power, whatever the case may be, that virtual spare will fall over to the site and allow the phones to register to it. At that point, we have 44 days to correct the issue before we're out of licensing compliance. So it's kind of like a free way you can kind of get some redundancy built into the system that SureTel offers. And we plan on using that here. So that will also help regarding redundancy. These appliances, there's actually no moving parts except for the fan. So there's no hard drive. Everything is inside is a compact flash in solid state. The lifespan on these are like 13 to 15 years. And they could run longer, but 13 to 15 years is pretty much what the lifespan is. And if one would go bad, you just pull it out the rack and pop another one in, and you're back up and running. There's a little bit of programming needs to be done, but essentially, I could probably replace one of these in about 20 minutes.
Does our lease cover your labor, or is that billed extra?
No, the lease includes all of the implementation services as well as the equipment. So it's all built into that lease, yes.
Ongoing maintenance.
That's
Ongoing maintenance, we had decided that you guys wanted to get billed yearly for that. First year is included, there's a 1-year warranty. And then after that, then year 2, there's a maintenance contract that as well.
It's the longest lifespan I've heard yet of anything that's connected to wires.
Essentially, every time we do an update, the appliances get a new firmware, they get their new updates, as do the phones and the server itself. And I believe that's
That's included.
That's included.
That's included,
So
and
get
you
free-
get that
you get-
upgrade for free.
To Commissioner Rich's cost about the maintenance, the maintenance cost is gonna be, probably be about $3,500 to $4,000 cheaper than what it is now. But the other big savings in maintenance is gonna be, we're paying for every move, add, and change that we do now within the courthouse. If somebody moves, it's normally $500 to $600 for them to come out and do that, because they gotta put another jack in, so we're not gonna have any of that anymore.
Correct.
That's because if somebody moves from one location to another, they just unplug their phone and take it with them, and plug it back into the computer, into the jack, and all that information comes up, so all that stuff goes away. So you'll save about $3,500 on the maintenance cost, but you'll also save, in addition to that, all the money that we incur for moves, adds, and change. Every time there is one, and it's only a couple $1,000s a year. The only phones being replaced are the digital. The analog phones that they currently have will be the analog phones they currently use, they'll keep using.
So
We're getting, I think we're getting about 200 of the digital,
105.
105 digital.
105 digital.
The analogs, I know, are way more than that. They're probably.
And I think there's like 150-ish of those.
Yeah.
This is what the Connect client looks like. Here I have people, which is, when I select people, I have these contacts that I built, and you can actually see their presence. It says that K-Powers is available. All these folks are available. Now, if they were actually on a call, this would turn to red, indicating that they were on a call. If they changed their call handling mode to say out of office, it would actually turn to red and say that they're out of office. So you can kind of use this as an in and out board. And the way those call handling modes work, they're actually built in or predetermined forwarding destinations that the user can program themselves. Typically, when a phone's in available mode by default, the call's going to ring their phone for 3 rings. They don't answer in 3 rings. If they have voicemail, that call is going to be redirected to their voicemail. If they're in a meeting, the call immediately goes to voicemail. If they're in out of office, same thing, the call immediately goes to voicemail. And you have some other call handling modes they call extended absence, custom, and do not disturb. And each one of those can have a specific forwarding destination. But by default, that's what they are. And also, too, this client integrates with Outlook. So if you have, let's say you have a schedule in Outlook and you're scheduled for a meeting, automatically your phone goes into any meeting. If you're out of office, at the end of the day, your phone goes into out of office. Calls no longer ring your phone. They immediately go to your voicemail unless you make some other changes within the Connect client.